right. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to see you. Welcome to our show tonight. We are going to be talking about how to use cannabis for pain and other conditions in your life. So if you are uncertain exactly how or what or how much to take or where to find it, you are definitely going to enjoy your conversation with myself and my friend Ruth Hill, and of course Avon, who is our out of country, out of state, out of galaxy companion who advises us on all things. So guys, welcome to 420 Spiritual Living. I'm your hostess, Joan of Angels. This is our time where we share the miracle of cannabis and plant medicine, how it helps your body, mind, and spirit to step into wellness, step into a higher consciousness, and can literally transform your life, besides bringing peace, balance, and harmony. So we go live every Wednesday at 4:20, and I'm excited to see you here as we shift into our higher consciousness. Now, if you're new to my channel, please like and subscribe and share the broadcast so we can reach more people and break through this cannabis stigma that's out there, that this cannabis shame that is happening for some people around the subject of cannabis. So like, share, and subscribe. I'd appreciate that. And I also want to mention that these days we are training people how to become intuitive ninjas. What in the world's an intuitive ninja? An intuitive ninja is someone who knows who can access their intuition and understand what it's saying and then act upon it immediately. So honestly, with everything going on the planet today, becoming an intuitive ninja who can actually access almost immediately what spirit is sharing with you and then implement it, that's probably the best way to thrive during these times, and certainly learn how to listen to your gut. And I can tell many stories of people whose intuition saved their life. All right, so let's begin. You know that I always like to begin with my bowl because it represents changing our energy and stepping into a little 420 bubble. So take a deep breath with me. And let it all out as we start to step into that 420 consciousness, that collective, where we can really share our thoughts, our energy, our feelings. We are so grateful to see you. And this is just a moment to relax and chill and learn something new. Maybe get into more harmony with yourself, with your guides, with people around you. All right, so a little bit of balance and peace, which I think we all need. So much happening in the world. That we're also going to bring you message from the messengers, the cannabis spirit guides, what they have to say. Oh, and this is kind of interesting. Time to cross the threshold. Aren't these cards beautiful? They're very much psychedelic ayahuascan art, but time to cross the threshold. And I have been thinking about that a lot. One of the beauties of cannabis is that it allows you to open up your consciousness and expand it. And that is akin to sort of opening up a curtain that allows you to cross into the other side. So my little ceremonial pipe here, I should have a lot of names for it. It's a little magic pipe, but with a little bit of ceremonial intention, you can actually open up and go into another consciousness too. All right, so I'm going to bring my guest on. She has a long walk around here. Come on in, Ruth. So our guest, Ruth Hill, just so you know, RN, BSN, I don't know what all of these initials stand for. I'll ask her. She brings 54 years of nursing experience to her cannabis consulting programs for health and wellness. She's certified in hospice and palliative care. Let's see, can everyone get a good view of us? Yes. She's a member of the Hospice and Palliative Nurses Association, the American Cannabis Nurses Association, Rancho Mirage Wordkeepers, Palm Springs Writers Guild. She's a prolific writer of poetry. publishes articles on cannabis and health issues in the local paper. And she's definitely a sought-after writer. Let's move so you can actually have some room.
Yes.
There.
There.
Well, okay, Ruth, I'm so excited that you're here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm delighted.
I would ask if you had a long drive, but I know you didn't.
No, I didn't.
Well, that's really, really good. Oh, and we have some of our friends on the line. I see Debbie's over there. This is great, mother of messages. And everyone loves Avon. I don't know if Ruth, I think Ruth was a little surprised. She had never met him.
No, I haven't met him.
No, he's my extraterrestrial.
I love it.
And he says that it's good to always have another perspective on everything.
Right.
And plant medicine is not native to planet Earth. And that's all you need to know. That's why it's so wonderful as a plant. All right.
Okay.
So, hi, Ruth.
Hi.
I'm really glad
everybody.
you're here. I'm really glad you're here. I have some questions to ask you. And guys, this is going to be a sort of tell-all about how you actually use this plant to feel better and why it actually works. And the first thing, I got so excited before I forgot to do this. So we're going to do this right here. We're going to share the screen because I set it up so we can talk about this particular article, which so impresses me. Okay. So here, we'll set it up so you and I can see it. But I found this article. Guys, it's on my group page, 420 Spiritual Living. And I want you to read the title of this. You can actually read it for me, Ruth.
Yes, it's cannabidiol inhibits SARS-CoV-2 replication and promotes the host innate immune response.
And so what does that mean?
Well, what it does, what cannabis does, what they found is that they prevent, CBD blocks that spike from going into the cells. And this is why we're telling people to use cannabis for infections, whether it's a virus infection or whatever infection you have. You should always have CBD on hand because CBD is involved in the immune system. And so generally, I think they're probably going to have a study that shows probably the cannabis users are the least ones who are getting the virus because they're being protected.
Do you think so?
Oh, I definitely think so.
Because
I
I've
definitely
noticed.
think so.
Okay, so I've noticed, like going into the vault and the different places we go to, that they've not reported any incidences of people going into the dispensaries or the consumption lounges. That is quite interesting and amazing. So it is absolutely true that's why I showed you that article. You can find it on the page 420 Spiritual Living, but the article actually is by the National Institute of Health, right?
Yeah.
And it actually confirms what we've been saying all along about CBD and COVID.
And if you are afraid of getting COVID, you got to be able to take zinc. You got to be able to have a large amount of zinc, like 50 milligrams. The amount that's in, what's that medicine? Airborne is only about 5 or 10 milligrams. You really need 50 milligrams, and you need vitamin D. And both of those over-the-counter drugs also help with viruses because they get into the cell and they block it from getting the infection.
So in talking about this with CBD, I'm not sure we're going to see this in mainstream news and big thing. I think it's actually really exciting. But and so it's not just for the guys, we have to always be careful of censorship on here too. So the COVID, but we'll be careful. If I say the C word, you know what I'm talking about. But also for flus, right?
Yes,
for flus, colds.
Colds, yes. Zinc is well known for viruses because everybody's talking about taking airborne, right? Well, and you take airborne when you go on a plane because what happens on the plane? There isn't that circulation of air, and so all the bugs stay right there in the air for you to inhale. And they always tell you to take airborne. Why? Because it has vitamin C, which is always good for a cell growth, and the zinc, which gets into the cell and blocks the virus from getting in there.
And
CBD blocks the spike from getting into the cell.
so now when you say CBD, let's talk about this. How would someone take CBD? They're not going to They smoke it, they drink it, they lick it off the table. How would they get this CBD?
Well,
in their system?
They can take CBD any way that you take a medicine. You can inhale it like you do bronchial dilators. You can take it as a tablet. You could take it as a tincture. You could take it as a suppository, but we're not, whatever because some people take it as a suppository, sick people who can't swallow or are vomiting, they'll take the CBD via suppository. And a lot of cancer patients who can't tolerate the THC will take CBD and THC as a suppository. And I want to
because they take high doses,
yes,
right? Because you have to take those high doses. And this is what I also want to talk about today.
Correct.
Okay, so back up and what?
Back up, I wanted to tell you how I got started on this. I got started on this because I needed it. I mean, most people who are in the business started using it because of a medical problem, unless you're just doing it for recreational. And so people are replacing alcohol with the cannabis. But the way I started out was I have a back issue. I have pathology back there, and I was on morphine and opiates. I was on sleeping med. I was on an anti-depression med, because if you have long-term care, of course you're going to be depressed. So they put you on an antidepressant, anti-anxiety, because naturally when you're in pain, you're very anxious, okay? So they put you on all those meds. Right. So I was needing more and more of the opiates because I was working full-time, getting in and out of the car, up and down stairs for my patients, and it wasn't working. I was getting to the point where I had to take too much. So I saw an article in the paper to advertise for using some, and I happened to went to the ad, and I met the guy, and that's how I started using cannabis.
So it was an ad in the paper?
Yes, this guy was selling his product, and he was selling his ability to teach it. He wanted to give programs. So he wanted somebody to help him give programs. And that's how I got in touch with him. And he's the one that got me into studying it. And when you realize that the government has kept all this information from us, and when I realized that the reason this isn't a snake oil product is because we have an endocannabinoid system. And this was only discovered in the 80s and 90s. And we've used cannabis for 5,000 years. I mean, royalty used it for gout. They used it for indigestion. They used it for dementia. Women used it for dysmenorrhea. And when women got crazy after menopause, they would give them the marijuana. And so it's been used for years, but nobody really delved into the chemistry behind it. So what Israeli scientist did is he started studying it chemically. And that's when they discovered that we have receptors in our body. We have natural receptors for this plant. And we make our own THC. There's a lot of people that don't know that. You make your own THC. That's what the endocannabinoid system is, where you make your own CBD. CBD in our bodies is called 2-AG. It's got this 26-letter name, so we could say 2-AG. Anandamide is THC, and they named it anandamide when they discovered it because it's for the Sanskrit word bliss. So you make your own anandamide. You don't make a lot. You only make it when you need it because it breaks down and disappears. It breaks down by the enzymes when you don't need it. So you're not high when you're producing your own THC. But anyway, if people realize they make their own, and like anything, like vitamin D deficiency, you can have an endocannabinoid deficiency. So you need to supplement your body with cannabis. So what I started doing was studying the science behind it and learning that it's a specialty. And since I already have a specialty of palliative care, I felt that learning about this was just adding one more thing to my tool chest for treating people with their suffering and their ailments. So that's how I started, and I got better and better. I've been doing it for 4 to 5 years. I've been doing patients for about 3.5 years. And there's more and more and more stuff being studied today. We know so much more about cannabis. There's and look at what was just discovered, that CBD can help with COVID. I mean, these are all the things that are going on, and it's a lot.
But they hid from us.
Yes, and they're keeping, so to keep track of it, you can't keep track of it. So there's people like nurses, and there are doctors in the that are learning this. Very few. They don't take patients through Medicare because Medicare wouldn't let them. So we're all cash basis, because you can't get it through insurances anymore. So I started writing about it, and we're going to show you an article on my website later. And I started teaching patients with it. And so if you want to get good books on it, there's 2 books that are on my website. If you're a nurse and you want to learn how to be a coach, you want to get Elizabeth Mack's book, which is Coaching with Cannabis. You can see Elizabeth Mack's books on Amazon. You can also check it out on my website. Or you can get Leonard Linnau's book, CBD. If you're just a patient or somebody a layperson who wants to study this, he has an excellent book out. So those are the 2 main books that I think everybody should have a reference for. So that's how I got started.
So I love that. Okay. So when people come, like, what kinds of people come to you? Okay. Because this is really big. Why would someone need you when, say, I can walk in the dispensary and, like, I wouldn't even actually, as a newbie, I'm not sure I would even know what to do in a dispensary.
That's what us nurses are doing. We're the bridge between when your doctor or when you decide you want to use it, and you go to the doctor to get a recommendation, and you want to go in the dispensary. We're the bridge that takes you there. We're the ones that show you what to take, so that when you go in that dispensary, you're not going crazy. Oh my God. Because most of the dispensaries are very large. They have many, many products, and the flower products takes up practically 3/4 of the display. You know, they only have the medical in one little corner. And flowers, since they have each flower in its own little container, it takes up a lot of space.
I kind of flipped out the first time I went. Must have been about 10 years ago. What a shock.
Oh, yeah,
what a shock to see it. But now I know that your job is then to bring more people to using cannabis then.
Yes, and I get my referrals through word of mouth and through Elizabeth Mack, because I work with Elizabeth Mack also. And she has a referral basis in San Diego. If you look up Elizabeth Mack with Holistic Caring, you'll find her. So when patients come to me, it's usually because their pharmaceuticals aren't working. That's why
they come to you. Okay.
Yeah, I started that way too, because my morphine and Vicodin wasn't working. So I needed something. So I want to go through what products I have, if you want me to.
That would be lovely if you tell about it. And before we hop over there, we have a great comment over here. She's an end-of-life doula. Oh, didn't know you need your glasses for this. Okay. So she says, I would need Ruth. I'm an end-of-life doula.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about that phase of life and what cannabis can do for that person as well.
Well, doulas, hospice doulas are very, very important for patients, because they stay with the patients and help them spiritually. And they're there through the dying process. And usually the best time they are is in that last week when the person is deteriorating, because they're helping them with their spirituality. And because I have a specialty with the cannabis drugs, I can help ease their suffering with that. And I'm sure there are a lot of doulas that are learning, seeing this in their practice. They're seeing patients take it anyway, even though they can't, a hospice doctor isn't going to subscribe it because they can't. Because if they do, that means they have to pay for it, and the federal government doesn't allow that. So there's a federal monies when you're on hospice. So they're not going to let you order anything that's not federally approved. And that's why patients that want to use cannabis are doing it by themselves.
Right.
Now, there are some progressive hospices where the nurses get involved.
And then the nurse is allowed to, when we say administer, a little pill or an edible or
they tell them that they have to be careful, because technically you're not supposed to tell them. So we tell them, and then the patient is responsible themselves for getting the thing. The family is responsible. And we're telling them how to use it.
Okay. And so, but what you have found that in that end of life period, it helps in that transition and the fear and anxiety that a patient would have as they're approaching dying.
Yes.
Wow. That's actually something, by the way. And I want to thank Kelly for that comment, because I never thought of it in that aspect of using it in hospice care.
Oh, yes. It's very good for hospice care. And people that have used it ahead of that time, and then they're on hospice, they have a better result, because they already know about it and they're not afraid of it, and they already know what their dose is, so they know how to increase their dose because they've been on it already. And a lot of people are afraid of smoking it, but we get feedback from our patients who feel that inhaling it with either a vape pen or some kind of vehicle. This is a vehicle where we can put flour in here and then light it, and then actually smoke the flour, because smoking the flour is always better. And this is just like a small amount. Now that's a fancy one. That's beautiful. I've
never used it,
but they give these out, and many of them are either a very hard plastic, and some of them are the titanium ones.
Right.
They're beautiful.
I like that this has a cap on it.
Yes.
And it has, so let's show it. It has a little cap. I asked Ruth to bring her stuff, just, bring things that she's used with clients so we could see it. It's kind of cute. It's neon.
I got that given away at an event where there were vendors there.
Okay, those are the famous. I've been telling them about these famous industry events. Okay, so you got a wooden one to smoke. And actually that's very traditional and earthy. And Omar, I would expect that of you, for it, just with your indigenous and who you are. Wooden would work a lot better. I got this because I saw it in the store and I thought, oh my God, that's just like my show. It has a little lizard over here.
Oh, yes.
And it just seems so the earthy part of the cannabis tribe. And I thought, okay, this is going to be mine. All right. So let's show them then.
Yeah, I specialize in the medicinal section of cannabis. If you want recreation, you can do that on your own. If you want spiritual, you have to go to somebody who's, over here, because I'm not in the spiritual. That's a different focus. Okay. You have to be into that. And I don't take it recreationally, or I don't take it for spirituality. There are some people that take it just for improving sex, but I'm really the medicinal person who you want to have, who I can help you for any symptom that you have, either it's anxiety or pain or Parkinson's or all autism or depression. But anyway, many of those, I've also taught people how to take it prior to surgery, because people go in the hospital, they don't want to get doped up with all of those opiates when they're really going to need something for pain. Because you have to remember that cannabis isn't necessarily for acute pain. That's when you use opiates. That's when you use narcotics. For something that's acute, you break your arm, that's an acute pain. So you need a Vicodin or whatever they're giving you when you're getting your arm set. But after about 3-4 weeks, if you still have pain, that goes into the chronic. That's when you don't want to be taking the narcotics. You want to switch to cannabis because it's much more effective.
And I have read that in states that have legalized medical cannabis, the usage in opiates has gone down considerably.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. It continues, and it's a myth. There's a lot of myths out there that people are smoking it and they're getting high and they're getting sick and all that stuff. No, and that you got people hanging around the dispensaries. No. When you go into a cannabis lounge, because not all dispensaries have lounges, but in Southern California, we're kind of lucky because we have a lot of lounges here.
Yes.
And where you could go in and have fun and smoke and then leave. They even have paint and pot and paint.
Puff and paint.
Puff and paint, whatever it is. Yeah, right.
Puff and paint. They have comedy.
Yeah,
they have music.
Everything. And when you come out of there,
you're happy.
Nobody's angry. Nobody's fighting. There's no brawls. There's no rowdiness. Whereas if you went to a bar, you sure are going to get some rowdiness or fighting or whatever you get. But cannabis is relaxing. It's cooling. It's, you're not angry. You're happy. That's what it does. It makes you happy.
Well, that's why I call it miracle, because it heals your body and then it heals your soul.
And there's no deaths from cannabis. There is no documented death from cannabis for over 5,000 years. And people confuse that. They go, oh, my son, he died of addiction. He was taking marijuana and all these other. No, he didn't die from the cannabis. He died from the alcohol and whatever other, the ecstasy and all those other drugs he was taking. And what people don't understand is cannabis enhances the effects of the alcohol. So if you combine them, that's very dangerous. Mm-hmm. You got to decide, are you going to get high on the alcohol or are you going to get high on the cannabis? Getting high on the cannabis is much safer. It's more relaxing. You're not going to get into trouble. Whereas getting high on alcohol, forget it. That's where you get your deaths.
We can't guarantee it, and it's very toxic to your liver. We do have, so I asked everyone to talk about if there are questions. So we do have a question. Get your glasses on. My wife suffers from frequent headaches. So would cannabis or CBD help with headaches?
Yes.
And what do you recommend? And you can feel free to, use all those cute little things over there.
Inflammatory aspirin. See, I try to teach people how to use both THC and CBD so that you can eliminate aspirin in your medicine cabinet and Tylenol in your medicine cabinet and also your Ativan. Okay, because all of those can cause toxic effects on your liver. Okay, you can only have so many Tylenol, right?
And you have to be careful not to drink because you could die from liver toxicity.
Exactly. And the same with the NSAIDs. You can get ulcers from that. So I don't have any of that in my medicine cabinet. As a matter of fact, the bottles I had, because I bought them at Costco, and you know how you get 2 bottles there. So I gave away my bottles because I don't use them anymore. They just get old. So I use CBD, and you got to remember that going on cannabis is a journey. It's not something that you just, I'm going to take this pill and I'm going to get better. And no, it's a journey, and you have to have patience with it. It's not like giving you a pill. I'm not giving you, 25 milligrams of digoxin every day. No. It's not like that. You're always adjusting depending on your circumstances. If you get a cold, you got to take a different dose. If you go to the hospital and get surgery, you got to be able to know how to adjust your dose. If you go on some kind of exercise, you went and did a marathon, or you went swimming and you overexerted yourself, you got to take a different dose. So we all have a maintenance dose that we're on, but then certain things happen in our life that change why we need it. For instance, I decided to help a friend of mine with her 2 dogs. Now, I don't have dogs.
It's a disaster.
And I had to walk these dogs twice a day, and I don't walk. I don't have any exercise, okay? I'm a very couchy person. So I went crazy. Because the dog park they had an incline, a good 60% incline, and my ankles going up that, I was a mess. Plus, I couldn't sleep in her house because the bed was wrong. I couldn't sit because anybody has back pain. You can all relate to this. Every chair is different, right? You could sit in one chair for a couple hours, but any other chair, you're going to start getting pain after 5 minutes. So I got done with that, and I thought I was going to die. And I had to increase my CBD, because you have to remember CBD is for inflammation, THC is for pain. So you got to have both. You can't just only have CBD. So that's what I found. Leonard Linnell.
Oh, that's from Leonard.
Yeah, okay. Which is
I have to look at the bottle. So in other words, there's certain companies online that have wonderful products,
and they mail them to you. So I
started
taking 25 milligram Taxol because I needed more than the terpene. The tinctures. The tinctures usually come in a 30 or 60 cc bottle. Where's the camera? There it is. And you usually get anywhere from 10 to 20 milligrams per ml. So if you want to take more than 10 milligrams or 20 milligrams, that's a lot of fluid to put in your mouth. Okay. Let's say you had to take 50. That's a lot of fluid. So you're going to want a capsule instead.
I have to tell you about our HempWorks because we have 1,500 milligrams.
Yes. That's
okay. So that's good. That's good because,
yes.
So that's a therapeutic dose and medicinally correct.
Yes, and you can judge
for severe pain, right?
Yes, you can. Well, the bottle will have that. So then that usually means that 1 ml is 50 milligrams. So that's a good
so that's easier to take.
Okay. Or it's 100. It could be 100. Okay. And that's when you take more if you have more inflammation, if something happened to you.
And you can't overdose. You can't take too much of it. That's only you're going to be.
Well, you have to start learning your own dose, because you got to remember that alcohol, coffee, and cannabis all have an aphasic effect. At one dose, you get one response, and at a high dose, you get another response. Do you know anybody that can take coffee at 2 in the morning and go to sleep? That's the aphasic effect of coffee or tea. Right. Now, some people, it keeps them awake all the time, but other people like me, I can take it in the morning, gets the cobwebs out. But if I take it at 2 o'clock in the morning because I woke up with insomnia, I go right back to sleep. Now, that's unusual, but see, this is how you learn your own response. And cannabis has the same thing. If you,
Got it.
that's why you start low and you go slow, because you've got to figure out what your dose is, and then figure out what's the dose that's going to give you that opposite effect. And when you have that, it's going to dissipate. Like many times, because of my anxiety, I would take too much THC and I'd be wide awake all night.
Oh, okay. So that's the other side. If you're taking
That's the other
sativa
side.
or something that's going to cause anxiety before bed, you will be up. Okay, we never answered that headache question though.
Well, that headache question, you should start with a 30-to-1 or a 20-to-1 CBD to THC. That means that 30 parts is CBD and 1 part's THC. You only want a little bit in there. You want to start with 5 milligrams twice a day and see how it does. And if that's not working in an hour, usually in an hour you can tell if it's working. Then you want to bump up the dose a little bit. Okay? And that's how you figure out what your dose is. Some people only need 1 milligram of THC. So this is why you start
more
low.
of CBD, say.
Well, no, sometimes they only need 1 milligram of CBD. You got to find your own dose. So we start low, and we start with something that's high CBD, low THC, and remember and figure out, learn to titrate it yourself. And some people do this very well, but if they have problems, that's when they get somebody like me or Elizabeth or some nurse who's skilled at getting you the product that you can start out with. So that's what I would do. I would go in. Now, if you're not in a dispensary, get a good CBD product. I don't like people to just get it on Amazon. Amazon is not a place to get a hemp CBD product. I will give you 2 people that you should get CBD products from. They will mail it to you. This is Healing. Can you see that good? Yeah, healer.com. If you go to healer.com, he has CBD and CBDA. That's all that's in there. There's no THC at all. So he can mail this. He's in Maine, and he can mail this anywhere in the country. And you can start with that. Or the other person that makes CBD is Leonard in Synergy Wellness. He has 2 different websites, one that has the THC and one that has only the CBD. So, but they're dispensaries. That's why I say get hemp CBD from a dispensary. Because I just feel... You
don't mean from a dispensary. You're showing...
From somebody that actually manufactures it.
Or like my company, HempWorks. Someone who puts in a lot...
Who puts in, and not somebody on Amazon or somebody like...
So what's wrong with the CBD process? This is what I was trying to tell some of my friends. You don't buy CBD from Walmart.
Yes,
you don't buy CBD from the supermarket. But why not?
Well, because it doesn't have, it's not extracted. First of all, it's considered a supplement. So there's no certificate of analysis.
All right. I have read that most of them don't even contain CBD.
They don't even test them. They don't test them for pesticides, molds, metals. This is why I tell you to go to a place that manufactures all products. And I certainly can give you a reference of where to get some, because there's more than 2 places.
Well, we're getting it from HempWorks now.
And
up in Canada,
you can do it in HempWorks. And that way, you know, they're tested. They probably have the certificate of analysis on their website.
Right.
So they tell you everything that's in it. But these other places, you don't know what's in it. And it's considered a supplement. So they don't have to tell you anything.
Right. So plus we don't know if there's CBD and the toxins that are in it. That's true. The toxins that are in it. They've just started really regulating the cannabis for all sorts of toxins here, right?
Right. But you know, if it comes out of a dispensary or a place that we know is manufacturing it for, I don't know if you could discern it like that. Because is your place a dispensary?
What place?
Your CBD. It's
My
confusing.
HempWorks? No. My HempWorks is a manufacturing company that's not here. It sells it online all around Canada and the world.
There you
at least
go.
the United
There
States.
you go.
Okay.
There you go. And they probably, you want to ask them for their certificate of analysis. If they have that, you know it's good.
I'll have to look for it.
Yeah.
So this is actually really fascinating. Do you have anything else you want to show?
Oh,
Guys,
yes.
do you have any questions? You have wonderful comments. And okay, so John has been doing all these great comments. And here it is. He's saying, I suggest you incorporate CBG in your CBD. So let's talk a little bit about CBG.
There's a lot of going on in the industry for the other cannabinoids. And they're adding CBDA, CBG, CBC, THA, THV. THAV
Right.
is for cutting your appetite. So a lot of them are doing that, but you got to know what you're doing, because if you have too much CBG in a product, it can cause nausea. So if somebody wants it for nausea, so you got to be careful what that combination is. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Start out with just the CBD and THC if you're new, and learn those, what your dose is for that and how you have to titrate it. And once you figure that out, then you can worry about getting into all the other components.
Interesting. So I noticed that the gummy that I use to sleep has CBN. And first I thought, and here's another question, okay, for sleep. I started off using one sort of edibles, and then one day I had to use so much that it didn't seem worth it. And then I woke up feeling hungover. So I stopped that and went to another. I mean, is this a common experience to have to try it and see, or that
Yes.
somehow you have to take more than you started with?
Well, that's the whole process of titrating. And the people that stop using it, it's failure, that I call it failure, are the ones that don't know how to titrate it. So they give up because they don't have any patience. You got to remember, this isn't a pill. This isn't a 5 milligram Ativan where you know you're going to take the same dose every day.
Right.
Your body is changing based on how you make your own THC and CBD. And so it's a process.
Right.
It is a process.
So all the while, when you're taking it, it's stimulating your body to get back
To
in
heal,
action and to produce it some more. And it's that deficiency. Let me see if I understand this. So if you have this deficiency when you're taking cannabis or CBD, even if it's for chronic pain, but you have headaches, say, it'll help. Or if you have anxiety, it might cure your low back pain.
Yes.
Okay, so it goes through your body, and because of the cannabinoids, it actually kind of spreads out and does whatever work it needs to.
Because you have receptors all over your body. You've got so many receptors in your skin. You have more receptors in your skin than any other receptor in the whole body. This is why topicals work. And here's a good topical that I like from the guy from Maine, from a healer, because it's a... if you could see, let me see.
You got to get your hand in it. Yeah, in
There
it
you
to win
go.
it. Okay. Oop. Don't let it drop.
No, it's not going to drop it because it's thick. It's thick. So it's so this is very good for. I think his is the best because I've tried all of them. You
haven't tried mine, but I do. Get
you can try it. Really, whatever works for you works. Okay?
Right, and I've noticed that
So
sometimes it works
just-
for someone else
yeah.
and doesn't work for me. That's the other
Don't
thing about
worry
cannabis.
about it. Just try another one.
You're not getting a prescription for one thing that actually is going to work. So tell me how you would use cannabis, how you would prescribe it. A patient comes to you and says, Ruth, I am so stressed. I'm like constantly racing. My heart is racing. I can never catch up with myself. I'm like overstressed. What would you do for them?
Well, I don't just tell people, okay, here, go ahead and take this. Okay? No, I have to do a whole assessment because after all, I'm a nurse.
Right.
Okay? So I do an assessment with people. I want to know what all your meds are because I need to know what the interactions are. And then I find out if you've used cannabis before, what product you use. I get patients who probably have 4 or 5 products in the house, and yet they're calling me. Well, why are they calling me? Because whatever they're taking isn't working, or they're taking too much. I had one client who I was referred to me for cancer, and she had 12 products in her house.
Wow.
And she didn't want to spend any more money. Okay. Well, I could see why. If you got 12 different products in your house, that's a lot of money to spend.
Of cannabis and
Yeah.
CBD.
Tinctures,
Well, people say
whatever.
that. I've heard people say that, they're treating their cancer with cannabis and then don't understand why they don't get better.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Because they don't know how to titrate it. They don't know how to start low and go slow. They don't know how to do the ratio of CBD to THC. It's a process. It's a process. And many people do it all by
And
themselves.
you take people through that. Let's take them to your website. Okay. And let's show them the article you just wrote. She is, by the way, a prolific writer and poet. I don't know if we have any poetry here, but we do have. Okay, let's wait. Let me make sure. Okay, there it is.
Yep.
Is that your?
Yep.
Okay,
That's
so
me.
I'm on the right place. Oop. Seems like I lost it again.
Well, you
Here it
got
is, right there.
Okay.
Okay. So this is her website, and I love this. Do you see Canna Angel clients? That's how I knew Ruth and I are going to be friends when I saw Canna Angels.
Yes.
So, and she is a Canna Angel, yes. So trust, expertise, and support.
And right here, you see the Become a Coach. That's Elizabeth Mack's book. That's the book that you want to get if you're a professional and you want to learn how to do this.
That worked.
And then my article, I put my articles up there. Every 2 weeks, I have a new article.
Okay, wait. I have to
You
see
can
if we
just
can.
okay.
Okay.
You can just hit that. It should.
Well, let's just hit the article.
Okay. Okay. And go up.
Oh, wait, I have to still check that they can see it. Yes, they can. Okay, good. So this is Ruth's recent article that came out.
It's how cancel culture magnifies the myths. And what happens is because there's so many myths about it, there's so many people that think that, people are going to hang around dispensaries and be loaded because they're high. That doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen that way. And I was watching a video, an interview of, I don't know if you know that Miss America, I'm terrible with names. Her name is right up at the top. It's
Miss Schreier.
Yeah, Miss Schreier. Her job. She picked her theme to help people with addiction.
Right.
So she's doing very good with that. And her interviewer, however, was talking about cannabis being an illicit drug and you don't want to get high. Obviously, he knew nothing about cannabis. And they weren't able to bring out the fact that it's not an illicit drug if it's approved legally in 48 states.
Right.
There's only 2 states that don't approve it. It's Idaho, and I believe it is Nebraska.
And Florida. I don't think Florida.
No, Florida has it.
It has medicinal, because I was talking to some people.
States.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Florida
48.
does
So
have medicinal marijuana.
Only Idaho and I forget whether it's Missouri or Nebraska. But anyway, one of those middle states that don't have it. And some of the other states that do have it, it's only for a specific disease process, or they only have it for seizures,
Right,
so they only have it for pain.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the more progressive ones have it for anything. But anyway, they weren't able to bring out the endocannabinoid system. You really got to recognize that there's a science behind this.
Yes.
It's not just getting high. And
Right.
and that's the problem, is that everybody writes their articles that start out with cannabis being an illicit drug. It's not an illicit drug anymore. Do you know there's 3 cannabis products that are approved by the FDA?
I've heard.
Yeah.
And they're very expensive.
Yes. So
Very
to say it's
expensive.
illicit, no. And maybe it's only prohibited federally, but
It's
anyway.
only prohibited federally, which has huge implications, though, for growers, dispensaries, and
And for
everyone.
research.
And also for the people, because what happens is it's still looked upon with skepticism. It's
Yes.
not thought of as the drug of choice. So if you had a kid with seizures and on medicine, okay, actually the right plant of choice could be CBD for this child.
Yes.
But
yes.
if the parents are shamed, if they live in a state where they can't bring their child there, you're withholding treatment that could negatively impact someone's life, and that is criminal to me.
It is. And
It is.
And if the person wanted to get it anyway,
Mm-hmm.
they could take their kids away. So it's very scary
Right.
to put your kid on it. And yet, I don't know what's going on in Idaho that they don't want it for their kids, at least.
Well,
At least to
I don't
prove it
know
for that
either.
one thing. But anyway,
There's-
Utah. I think Utah is the other one.
Well, I'm going to say this. I would not be surprised, Mormon or not, if Utah, hundreds of years ago, they did use cannabis,
Oh, I'm
and
sure
they
they
did
did.
have hemp. And so what's happened is a very distorted way of thinking, and I think this is the pharmaceuticals' fault. The pharmaceutical companies do not want you using plants. Plants are weeds. Cannabis is the biggest grown weed around the planet. And
Right.
it is virtually free if you grew it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you don't have to ever pay anyone for your medicine.
That's right.
And the pharmaceutical companies are, first of all, they're delighted because now they're getting very rich with certain thing that came out, that thing.
Yes. Yes.
But much of their decisions and their decisions about prohibiting cannabis have to do with the competition they are feeling and okay, so if in California, there's been a 50% decrease in opiates, and I don't know if that's an accurate number at this moment, but think about it in terms of money, financial. If you're the pharmaceutical industry, and in California, 50% of the people stop taking your opiate drugs, you have been cut into your bottom line. And you will notice it is the pharmaceutical companies behind most of the issues that have happened, that have been keeping cannabis out of it. And also in a few towns like Santa Barbara, the wineries and the wine industry is also, until those two learn to come together, that you can go into a wine bar and also smoke your cannabis, until the two have come back together, which I think is also, I heard, dangerous.
Yeah, you're not going to have the wine and cannabis. You're going to have either one. But also, the government, our legislators get money from the pharmaceuticals, so that also is a deterrent, because they don't want to be putting a grudge on their people that give them money, the donations.
It totally makes sense. Now, so I challenge you guys, how we began, and I started by showing you that article from the National Institute of Health that actually said that CBD and THC together can help reduce the impact of the virus in your system and will build up your immune system. I challenge you to see how many major newspapers and mass media are you really going to see them on CNN tonight talking about this amazing revolution in healthcare? No. Well, why not? And the next question is why not? So the thing I'm going to leave my audience with is, this is a people's medicine. Plants, because these are, I laugh when I bring my extraterrestrial to the show, but, he says that they sent it down to humanity so they could have everything they need for body, mind, and spirit. And this is the true body, mind, and spirit. You're not going to get body, mind, and spirit in aspirin, I don't think.
That's right.
I haven't heard of it yet.
No,
right?
You don't.
But that's the beauty. And by the way, once you start treating yourself with cannabis, you will learn other natural ways of learning how to heal. Okay, so we're almost done. Tell people how they can reach you.
You can reach me with my name backwards, HILRUTH at gmail.com, or you can just go to my website, which Joan showed you, and you can leave a comment and get a hold of me through there.
We'll put your website banner up right now. I know I've seen it up here.
And I want to show you the vape pen that I have. And I want you to remember that if you have a vape pen, make sure you keep it in something that's straight up, because if you see the oil in there, if you have it always laying down, then the oil is going to be on the bottom. So you always want your vape pens and your cartridges up vertical. So put them in something, a glass container. I usually use this for this one, so that it's upright.
I have never heard that.
Oh, yeah.
Although I sort of intuitively do that, but I've never had anyone tell me that. So I'm very impressed by you, Ruth. I just love this show. All right.
Well, there's a lot of different things to learn. This is a pre-roll. You can get a pre-roll up here, and there's a little thing like this. I'll show you. Where is it? I got it down here somewhere. Some people can't light a lighter very well, so they have this little hemp wick that they have.
Oh, they have hemp wick.
Yes,
I love the hemp wick.
hemp wicks, so that
Hemp
you don't
wicks.
burn yourself when you're Here it is. That's what this is. This is all rolled up. You can see the hemp wick. So this is brand new. That's why I haven't pulled one out. But you can see that you light your toke and your pre-roll with this. It's better than using the.
Well, you use that to light the hemp wick, right?
Yeah, and then that's
you
it.
don't,
and
right,
then
and you don't get the butane.
Because it's hard. It's hard. If I was smoking a flower with one of these, it's very hard to light it. To turn this. I do anyway. I burn myself.
All right,
so this is why the wick is good. So
I love it. I love it. All right, Ruth. I just wanted let's close out the show. I am so excited that Ruth was on the show tonight. I thought tonight 5:20. I'm very, very grateful that she was here. I loved what she had to say. Actually, I feel like I learned a lot. And not only from her, but from you, the audience and the listeners. You had great questions and great comments. I saw all the great comments, even if we didn't answer them. All right. So, guys, that's Ruth Hill. Make sure you check her out. And for sure, she's wonderful at her consultations. And she's pointing to something.
Can I answer them after? Can I go?
Yes, we can go on all of these and answer them.
I
yes,
can do that.
yes, and I'll let her hang out in the back room here. She'll answer all of you. So continue to put some questions. I am Joan of Angels. Feel free to work with me, especially on your intuition training, so you can all be intuitive ninjas. Like, subscribe, and share out with your friends so we can actually grow our channel. And then we will see you all next week. Very happily, and we'll see you next week. I got to show you what just came in the mail from HempWorks, okay? Look, I want you to know that the shampoo and conditioner is fantastic. If you're not using it, you should use it. Yes. And then I'll tell you what else came today. My fruit gummies, the CBD fruit gummies. When you take them, each one is like 25 milligrams. They are fantastic for you and your body. I take them a couple of times a day. They help with anxiety. Do you take them?
I do. I tend to forget that I have the gummies, but I take my CBD and other.
Oh, you do, right? Right? You do. You take it.
I have some CBD pills. Not pills.
Oh, you have the capsules.
I have the capsules. Yeah.
Yes, I love the capsules. I also like the Relief. This is a cream that we use to put on pain. So it's a topical cream, cooling. And so I use this all the time.
I do too.
So I'm so happy it came. And then I have the tinctures. And some people love using the tinctures, 500, 750, and 1500. So you can get more concentrated doses if you need higher amounts of CBD.
Yeah, I have it in like 6 different flavors.
Which I'm sending this up to my son. I love this stuff.
It smells amazing and it's very luxurious.
I guess that's the word I'd use. It's really luxurious. It's a top quality product with hemp, good for your skin, and enriches it. Okay?
Yeah. So we love hemp works.
On the
No.
questions. Oh.
Okay, guys.